In addition to that, I feel like people need to stop fearing like, oh, I don't want to look like I can't afford things. Like, be okay with using discount codes and coupons and Groupons, things like that to fund these experiences you want to have. And I believe ultimately we have to know that our best life is defined by us and not by society.
Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of Wallet Talks podcast, where we are exploring ways to have better conversations about money so we can make better decisions with our money. I am your host, Jason Alexander. In this episode, we have Jeanetta Spencer, who you just heard in the snippet, join us in a conversation about student loans and even attending graduate school debt-free. I have a special treat for y'all. In this episode also, I have my wife, Tiffany Alexander, join me co-host an interview with Jeanetta. So, before we get into that, did you know that student loans is now the second highest consumer debt category? Nationwide, for 43% of college attendees, according to educationdata.org, 43% of college attendees report they incur some type of educational debt. Among today's college students, 65% graduate with student debt. You know, when I hear that, the number 65 stands out, of course, like that's a lot of people. However, if I know my math, that means 35% are graduating with no debt. So how can we grow or shrink the 65 and grow the 35? How can we start going to school with no debt? If my wife was here, she would probably say, well, one of them is that you have to stop choosing these expensive schools, right? Like, why are we forcing people or hyping up situation to go with these major colleges? And they're major for a reason because they have a major price tag. Are we considering doing vocational? Are we consider working up the first year or 2 years before we go to school? Like, the pandemic has helped us to see that though we are able to do things remotely, we're also able to do things differently. We can be able to learn and acquire new skills differently. So, do we necessarily need to go right into college after high school? Can we take a year off from schooling, not from doing? During that time, possibly going out, getting a job, just to get your feet wet in the market and learning some other skills of how to interview and things of that nature. But also just being able to pause and take on a little taste of reality of what you're about to get into when you go to college. Speaking of higher education, let's get into our topic of the day with Jeanetta Spencer and see how she actually was able to attend graduate school, I think debt free. So let's find out in our topic of the day.
Hello, this is your co-host, Tiffany Alexander, joined by the host, Jason Alexander. And today we have a special guest with us, Jeanetta with Cash Curls on Instagram. And today we're just going to be talking to her about her experience, some advice that she has, and basically how you can find her online so that you can get the tools that you need for your financial journey. So first, let's start up with how did you come up with your name, Cash Curls, Jeanetta?
Yes, so Cash and Curls was birthed after two things that I'm really passionate about. So the first is personal finance. I love love helping others, you know, teaching them how to win financially. And the second part was curls, the natural hair community. So I know, right?
Team Natural.
Team
So
Natural here, people. Y'all don't see.
You're part of Team Natural.
I am natural.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perms
Yeah.
or Jerry curls.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead. I'm
So I
sorry.
definitely, I love talking about natural hair, and I love trying new hairstyles. So, you know, that's how I got the name Cash and Curls.
Awesome. Awesome.
So you said, how many hairstyles have you had? Like,
Oh, that's a good one. So I really stick with like twist outs, braid outs. That's my like go-to. But I do explore with like perm rods and flexi rods, but that's like special occasions. So I would say like maybe a good 8 to 10 hairstyles that I could do like quickly without, you know, putting too much effort.
Okay. He knows nothing about these things, by the way. I don't even know why.
You said like 10 things. I only knew 2 of them.
Yeah.
So
it was probably because it's old school, right?
Right. I was like, prep, flex, what the prim, what? Okay.
You're probably used to the styrofoam curl rollers.
Yeah, I am used to that. Yeah, I am used to that.
So your mom. And...
Yeah, I used to play with them as little football. So I would use the little curlers. I'm glad you said this. So I use those little curlers and I'll set them up as football linemen, and I have a quarterback, I have receivers, and I'll have, like, she had different colors. So I had they had the white one and then the black one, and they will be battling each other.
So this is the actual styrofoam part or the plastic part that holds the
plastic, both of them, because I use the clamp as their helmet.
Oh my goodness.
I use the clamp as their helmet.
I'm afraid to ask what age this was.
I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to preserve that for later.
We'll have to ask mom-in-law later.
Anyway,
I have to hear about that.
I just thought about that.
Yeah, but that was very creative, honestly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what happens when you're
Thank you, Jeanetta.
All righty. Well, anyways, you mentioned that you want to give financial content to people. What type of financial content are you mostly focused on?
Yeah, so I focus on helping millennials win with money. So that's kind of like my motto, that you can win with money. So you can win with savings, you can win with budgeting, debt elimination, and eventually wealth building as well. So I just try to encourage others through my personal experience on how to go along with how to start their debt-free journey.
Okay.
Awesome. So speaking of debt-free journey, let's hear about your debt-free journey. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so my debt-free journey started September of 2017. I watched a video by MJ Harris titled "Don't Go Broke Trying to Look Rich." And basically he was just sharing how people who are usually the most flashiest tend to have the least amount of money. So, you know, they look nice on the outside, but if you like look back at the receipts and stuff, they're struggling, you know, they're probably swimming in debt, drowning in debt. They don't have a savings, and they're most likely living paycheck to paycheck. And I felt like, wow, like I was going down this road of like trying to look rich, but I'm actually broke. So I knew I needed to make a change. I knew that, you know, if I wanted God to bless me with more and to trust me with more, that I needed to build the foundation and to clean up my financial mess. So
nice.
That is
awesome. I love that you're setting yourself up like, hey, God, I want to be blessed, so let me get my house in order. Yes. What mess did you have?
So I had over $57,000 worth of debt. So I had one large student loan, which was $50,000. That was majority of my debt. I had a car payment for about $6,000, and then I had 2 credit cards under $1,000. So yeah, those 4 things made up the $57,000. So
okay, all right.
Yeah.
And what was your strategy for paying that off?
Yeah, so I used the Dave Ramsey's baby steps. So I followed his plan, you know, started off with $1,000, then used the debt snowball where I, you know, paid off my smallest debt all the way up to my largest debt. And it was successful for me. So I tell people, you know, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like if it's out there and it works for you, definitely go for it and use the tools that are available.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Like, so we did the Dave Ramsey thing too. And that first $1,000, people don't know, is you have to build up as your emergency fund. Was it hard to build up that first 1,000? And
So it wasn't hard for me because I did have some saved up. The hardest
okay.
part for me was to let go, because he only says keep the $1,000. Whatever else you have, you need to throw it to your debt. So I feel like that was the hardest part, because I was like, I just need it just in case it's an emergency.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I didn't have an emergency throughout the time of my debt-free journey. So $1,000 was enough, honestly. So
That's awesome.
Okay. So if you had $1,000 already,
mhm.
did you? So how? Say, I'm trying to see. Most broke people don't have $1,000. So why did you consider yourself broke?
So
Before
I
you got
felt like my mentality wasn't right. I felt like I was just, I was young. I had just got into my career, and I was like, okay, I need to obtain, get something better.
Yeah.
My mindset wasn't right. And I knew I needed to change my mindset if I knew, if I wanted to last, longer than just, oh, okay, I got this, I look rich, but actually I'm not, like 5 years from now.
So was the FOMO as mindset and keeping you from prospering, I guess, the way you want it?
Yeah, I feel like the beginning of my journey was definitely very hard. I was just seeing all of my friends take all of these vacations and, buying cars and getting, upgrading their lifestyle. And I was just like, wow, I'm kind of just sitting here, just, I am content with what I have. Everything I have works, it's functional, but I was like, wow, I am really missing out. I'm not going to all of the events and, things like that. But I had to learn it's only temporarily. Later on I'll get to enjoy life a little bit more once my debt is cleared up.
Yeah. That reminds me of a quote from Rachel Cruz, Dave Ramsey's daughter, who said that the moment that you compare yourself to someone else, they're in control of your budget now.
Yeah, that's good.
I was like, wow, okay. So, I got to stop scrolling on Instagram. Well, you just have to have, like you said, that mental change of, okay, that's what they're doing. Let me focus on my play right now.
Yeah.
So you went through that mentality, and then I see that you now pursued or completed your graduate degree. What has that been like? So tell us about that graduate degree that you ended up obtaining and how you were able to manage that as it relates to debt.
Yeah, so I'm currently still in graduate school. So I just completed 1 full year. So my strategy financially wise was to pick a school that I could afford. I think that was my mistake for undergrad. I went to a school that I couldn't afford. So I'm going to a local state school. In addition to that, I am also applying for scholarships. So I didn't do that previously for undergrad. So, I've been really working hard trying to find scholarships for graduate students. I've applied over the years to about like 15 scholarships, and out of the 15, I got 3 of them. So that was really good. So the last thing I'm doing is, of course, is cash flowing it. So I did enroll into the school's budgeting payment plan. So every month they take out, a portion, and, I still budget. I'm still trying to live below my means and to reduce my, expenses as much as I can.
You're working and going to school at the same time?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
So when you say cash flow, for those who don't know, what does that mean? Cash flow.
So basically means don't take out any student loans. You got to pay for it out of pocket. So if you're not paying for it like through your own money, you then use scholarships. So anything but taking out a student loan ultimately.
That was so wise. As going into the master's, the graduates part, I remember like most undergraduates, we did the same thing you did, didn't think about the price or anything. We just knew that either our friends was going to the school or we heard that the school was the bomb or whatever. Just the whole tuition, we just thought like it was just
didn't even think about it.
Right, it's gonna pay for itself until you get that first student loan bill. You're like, oh my gosh. Because that kind of reminds me when it first hit me. I don't know if you had this experience. Tell us if you did. It my student loan payment hit me like a ton of bricks, as if like, oh my gosh, I'm responsible for this. When I no longer have, for those who know about student loans, the income payment program. Like it was based off your income based. Yeah. And so, getting out of school, you kind of don't have a huge salary.
Right.
Had a huge salary. Once I started going up and they came out with like a $600 student loan bill, I was used to paying $100. Now it's like $6. I was like, oh.
That was when we got married, right?
Yeah.
When we combined our income.
Yes, what it was. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, why are you using her money? That's not,
they had to re-verify. They had to re-verify. So what do you do? But that helped us because we no longer had to worry about it lasting as long, the student loan debt lasting as long.
Right, because we combined everything.
Exactly. And it caused us to pay more on it and come up with a strategy.
I got one more thing when we're staying with the graduate thing. You said something about scholarships. I know from my personal experience, I heard people say scholarships, but I was like, oh, it's hard and it's difficult. How did you go about it? And was it hard for you or difficult?
Yeah, so I feel like the key to making scholarships work for you is to have a plan. So what I did was I just got on a Google Doc. I created like a little table. I wrote out the name of the scholarship, how much the scholarship was worth, if it required an essay, and if I completed it and what the deadline was. So if you're tracking everything, it makes it a little bit easier. And I noticed that many of these scholarships have similar questions. So if you're keeping a running document of the essay questions and what you wrote, all you have to do is just tweak, some of the words, and it will actually work for this new scholarship. So I feel like planning and tracking and just being organized is definitely the key to, making this whole scholarship journey a lot easier for people.
I hope they heard that hack. Write down these questions.
That's a hack for life. Even just budgeting, just like writing and notating what needs to happen and how to do it, and that you don't always have to reinvent the wheel.
Like you said earlier, okay. I was like, you know what? I just thought it was hard because they had to write an essay. Every time I had to write a new essay, I didn't think about that, and so I really applied for, it's shameful to say this, but I really just applied for those who just had an application.
Yeah, and I still do that too, like just quick and easy. Let me just send in the application and be done.
That's why I got like $0 in scholarships. Go ahead.
So if you were to sum up student loans are blank, but blank. How would you describe that?
So I thought that was a really good question when you guys said that. I was like, wow, this is a really good one. And I had an instant thought and I was like, should I say this? But I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Go ahead.
So I stated that student loans are a dream killer, but sometimes are necessary to achieve your dreams. So let me break it down. So I believe
the
that
debt free community is like, no.
Yes.
I want to put some context to it. So we all know about the student loan crisis. We know it robs us of our future. So that's definitely the dream killer aspect of it. But sometimes it is necessary to achieve our dreams. So, I'm not promoting taking out student loans, anything like that. But, if I'm being honest, I knew it was necessary for me to be successful in my career. So if I didn't go to college, I wouldn't have the career that I have today. And, I feel like I didn't have, much financial literacy when I first graduated from high school. My family didn't know much. We just took out student loans because that was the only way that I was going to be able to go to school. But I feel like sometimes it is necessary. Everyone can't pay strictly out of pocket, but then it comes to, you have to learn how to take alternate routes, like applying for scholarships, getting a part-time job, working a little bit harder, or even just going to a community college, the first half of your schooling, so that you could actually afford to go to school. But
that's a good one, because the community college part specifically is what I want to touch on right now, because that's one thing I wish I had considered, especially since those first 2 years are really much just standard classes, and you don't have to focus as much on what you're majoring. I think there may be some exception for those in the medical field in terms of how they structure their classes to prepare them for those junior, senior years and after college. But a lot of it is just basic, and you just want to make sure, of course, that it's transferable. And of course, things change and stuff where may graduate and it's no longer transferable, but you want to do your research to make sure that it could work in your benefit. And then you just have a cost saving. And then at the end of the day, when you graduate your diploma, your degree is going to say where you graduated from, not where you started from. So that's always a hack that you can use to if you're really concerned about a name.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Again, I didn't listen to that advice. Someone said something similar. Go to the community college for the first 2 years and transfer to, say, UGA or something.
But I think that's one of the problems we have. This kind of going back to earlier in our conversation, we're trying to keep up with everyone else. And, I graduated high school in 2004, and I don't know if it's changed now in terms of perception, but community college was kind of like, the idea was it's for the dumb kids, or it's from the people that were more so going to do the blue collar work versus the white collar work. And I'm hoping that people have started thinking differently about it and how they can manage their money better by having this type of option. And then at the end of the day, where you went to school for the most part and what degree you have is not necessarily an immediate predictor of your success in life. And I think that's part of the issue with the education system from when we're kids, is there's strong emphasis on, can you take the test? Can you learn these principles, some of which are not even applicable in the real life?
Right.
Once you become an adult, you realize some of that stuff is not applicable. But, you just want to, encourage people to pursue education in other ways outside of just a traditional 4-year college and what people are telling you to do.
Absolutely.
I when you was talking, I saw community college, and I'm just thinking of community college versus Harvard, and I could be wrong with this, but just hear me out. They both are teachers from the same textbook.
I don't know that. I do not know that.
Essentially.
But you would
They're
think,
teaching you the same thing.
yes, because like, for instance, I was a psychology major. You're going to learn the same theories and things of that sort. But I guess it's just the intensity of the curriculum, intensity of how deep they go into the topics.
Right, because I'm in accounting.
But you're paying for a name.
Yeah, you're paying for the name.
Mostly.
Accounting is accounting. So accounting at
that's a good point.
Generic college versus accounting at Harvard. We're still talking about the same principles. So the only other things that I'm thinking about now is like, okay, what else benefits besides the name and the clout that you get with it is that you get other activities and other some other superlatives or stuff. But okay.
Yeah, you get other benefits and stuff like that. But that kind of just goes in line what we were talking about with just trying to keep up with the Joneses in a sense, and trying to follow what our friends are doing. And one thing that I saw on your IG post was you quoted, "Get you some friends that will respect your budget." How do you recommend talking to your friends and about budgeting and how they can spend money?
Yeah, so I think honesty is the key. Okay. If we're honest with our friends from the get-go and just let them know, like, hey, this is my current financial situation. And you don't have to get like too detailed with it, but just tell them, like, during this season, this is what I can and cannot do. They should respect you. I feel like the problem comes when people try to like fake the funk, like, oh yeah, I could still do this, I could do that, but they're really struggling behind the scenes. So I feel like if you're honest with your friends and you're upfront and you just lay out like what you can and cannot do, like they should respect you. And if they don't, it's probably time to find some new friends, for that current season of life. And I also feel like so many people just struggle with finding social activities. For me, I always thought like, oh, in order to hang out with my friends, I needed to go out to eat, or we needed to go shopping or go on a vacation. And I feel like it's important for us to find alternatives to hanging out. So yeah, you can still hang out, but you can find something free to do or something frugal to do. Go to the local, band in the park or something in the summertime and just hang out with your friends for free. It's more about the quality of the experience more than, the actual how much you're paying to enjoy the experience.
I love that statement. I hope y'all heard that. It's about the quality of the experience. not the fancy restaurant.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fancy restaurant could give you a better experience, but I don't know. But I love that
can
statement.
Come later, right? It doesn't have to be an immediate thing. We're all going through life, and trying to better our finances and stuff like that. Just because you're eating at Burger King today doesn't mean that you're going to be eating at Burger King,
that's
2 minutes, 2 years from now, you know what I mean? So
we tell them what we call Old Faithful.
Old Faithful is Wendy's. We are not endorsing them by any means.
We have a go-to menu item. Go ahead.
Yeah, the 4 for $4, of course, junior bacon cheeseburger. But we have to get the strawberry lemonade light ice, because otherwise they try to fill it up with ice and don't give us no strawberry lemonade.
I've heard about that hack.
Yeah. And you gotta get the sweet and sour sauce.
But that's an experience every time we do it. So.
Yes, but we don't do it that often anymore.
Yeah.
My eyes start to dry out from all the sodium. I literally could feel like the liquid coming, my hydration being stripped from me from all the sodium. But it's so good while you're eating it, right?
Right.
Yeah, so now I just try to make our own burgers, right? Burgers and fries.
You do a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let's go to your budget. When you said you have a budget, describe what your budget is, how you do it, take us through your process.
Yeah, so honestly, budgeting is so simple. I feel like people think that it's so complicated. It's really not complicated. You don't have to use an Excel spreadsheet. You could do paper and pencil if that worked for you, or just find a free budgeting app. So I personally use the EveryDollar app through Dave Ramsey. I find that it's very easy to use, and it does all the math for you. So, every month, I write out what my income is going to be, and then I just start tallying what my fixed expenses are and what my variable expenses are. And it just, I just input the numbers, and they let me know if I'm on track to having a every dollar budget, or if I need to make some tweaks or, some adjustments along the way. So
could you explain a little bit more what every dollar budget means?
So every dollar budget means that it's a zero-based budget. So your income minus your expenses should equal zero. So every dollar should have a name per se. It should be going somewhere.
Yeah, great. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what we teach people.
Put your money to a category.
Yeah, put it to work. Don't let it sit there and be lazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What would you say is outside of maybe the student loan situation where you took out student loans, what would you say is a financial regret that you have? If that's the one, then that's the one. But if there's anything else you have that you
so I definitely think student loans would definitely be my biggest regret. Like I should have been a little bit more intentional and wiser when it came to like learning how to fund college per se. But aside from that, I would say probably starting a little bit earlier. So if I know what I know now, I definitely would have done things a lot differently. So when I got my first job, I would have started saving money and, have that little emergency fund, go to a different school and, just start, implementing these principles that I know now earlier on in life.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm curious, where are you on the Dave Ramsey baby steps?
So I finished baby step 3. So I have my fully funded emergency fund. So then I kind of paused because my main focus right now is to cash flow graduate school. So once I'm done with that, I will continue on with the other baby steps.
Awesome.
Makes sense. Go ahead, Tiff.
What's your number one tip for others who are trying to live their best life but on a budget?
Those people who captured by the FOMO. Go ahead.
Yes.
No, so I have like a few things. So the main one is to don't go broke trying to look rich. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like just live within your means. Like it's okay if you're shopping at Target and Walmart. Like they have some really nice stuff at Target and Walmart. Like don't be afraid to shop within your means. I feel like learning how to be content with what you have is very important. In addition to that, I feel like people need to stop fearing like, oh, I don't want to look like I can't afford things. Like be okay with using discount codes and coupons and Groupons, things like that to fund these experiences you want to have. And I believe ultimately we have to know that our best life is defined by us and not by society.
Say that again,
I feel
girl.
like
Say that one more time for the people in the back.
Again.
One more again. Hope all else is getting out. Go ahead.
So yes, ultimately your best life should be defined by you and not by society. So I feel like so many times society is telling us, you know, in order to live your best life per se, you have to have this type of car, live in this type of home, do these type of things, you know, have these materialistic items. And honestly, when you start to learn yourself and, you know, realize what your real values are, sometimes having those flashy, you know, those flashy things is not the goal for you. That's not how you will really live your best life. It may be having more time to spend with family and friends, you know. So I definitely feel like defining your best life is the main important thing. And then just learn how to be content, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think that's the glue for all of that.
Yeah, contentment.
Yeah.
Wherever you are in life.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you settle. It just
Yes,
means that you rest in that and you get through that. And
yeah, you can aspire to be great, but accept where you're standing.
Yeah.
And knowing that where you're standing is not where you're going to stay. So I like that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I have so many other questions I wanted to go into, and I'm gonna go into and see if it makes the cut or not. You said it sounded like God was like a centerpiece of your budgeting and things like that. I'm curious, where are you with like tithing and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm a firm believer of tithing. I felt like when I started tithing consistently, my money management became a lot easier. So I definitely believe people should, you know, if you're not a believer, at least give to a local organization or charity. But I definitely believe that, you know, the first 10% should go strictly to God. And, you know, I've been able to survive. I was able to get out of debt. I'm able to live comfortable. So living off of that 90% is not going to hurt you. So many people like, oh, you know, I can't give away 10%. You know, I don't know how I'm going to manage my bills or things like that. But you can definitely live off of 90% of your income.
Yeah. That kind of makes me think about, you know, in math, we're taught 1 + 1 = 2, but with God, 1 + 1 could equal 3. Like you just you thinking it's going to be that. And it's like, he just blesses you above that. And you just, it's something about putting him first in your finances that you won't really experience until you actually, you know, have decided to do it. And you'll see, I mean, there's been times we've done our budget and Jason's like, I don't know how we beat the budget. I mean, these are the numbers. And it's just like, hey, God put his super on my natural, I guess. That's how you put it.
That's how I put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be times where she'll look at the budget and look at our bank account. And she was like, well, based on the budget, we should be like, you know, basically like have $100 in the bank or something. And I'm like, no, we got like 500. She was like, how does that happen? I was like, I don't know. It just happened. And now I'm saying promoting like it was magic, but it just kind of goes to the scripture that talks about, you know, give and it'll be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, run over, one man give it to your bosom. And I was listening to someone this morning that was like, yeah, when you give, expect, you know, like when you're, you know, going out and do a tip, you're going to bless someone with an extra tip, right? More than the 10%. And you don't think of it as like, oh, they deserve it or don't deserve it. Think of it as, I'm going to give because I know God's going to give back to me. So if I want a 10% blessing, I'm going to give a 10% tip. If I want a 20% blessing, 20% tip, you know, so on and so forth. So I think you're right. I'm glad you spoke that, because it's so tempting not to do it, especially if you're on your financial journey, right? You're trying to, you're like, Lord, I need every penny.
Yeah.
I need every penny to go to Sally Mae. Like, you don't know, I'm trying to get rid of this right now. He's like, hold up, homie. You just don't give me this, be a resource for me, and I'll be a resource for you. And I'll say this last one. One resource for us was when we were in our debt-free journey, we had a moment where food was like, you know, really tight, you know, beans and rice or ramen noodles, whatever. Ours was PBJ. That was
Oh, okay.
Pizza.
and pizza. Yeah.
Pizza was like we love pizza anyway.
So I remember one month funds were getting low.
Mm-hmm.
We got invited. We had been mentoring some teams, and that was our part of our giving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we also was faithful with tithes.
Yeah.
That month where we were getting kind of low, and towards the end of the month, you'd be like, kind of covered it there. We was invited to one of our team's graduation, and they had it all catered. And when it was all said and done, me and Tiffany just are naturally like helpers, help cleaning up.
Right.
We walked away with like maybe 3 full pans full of food.
Wow.
It was kind of like the 2 fish and 5 loaves.
Yeah, we had some food for a few days, and it was a blessing. And it wasn't that we couldn't quote unquote afford it. It's just that we set a plan for our money, and we wanted to operate in that. And we wanted to stick to that, paying off that debt. And it was just in moments like that where it's like, God knows I can afford it, but He's going to show me that He's going to take care of it.
Absolutely.
So that was a nice moment.
And you tell me, Jeanetta, what you're saying is stewardship, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like so many times people are like, yeah, I'll start giving when I make this amount of money. But, I feel like you need to learn how to give with the money you already have. If you don't know how to give with, the $1,000 that you have now, you're not going to be able to give with 100,000 or a million. You're going to still try to hog everything for yourself and not freely give it back, so.
Beautiful. We can stop there. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. You want me to say that? It's okay.
Did we do the top 2-3 ways to start your debt-free journey?
I don't know. Jeanetta, did we say
So, Jeanetta, tell us, as we are towards the end of our episode, tell us the top 2 or 3 tips that you would have to give to someone who is looking or thinking about starting their debt-free journey.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think number 1 is definitely writing down your why. So you have to write everything down. I feel like, writing things down will allow you to look back and see how far you've come. So definitely write your why down. In addition to that, I will then begin now. I feel like so many people are like, oh, I need to wait. No, just start right now. You can start with just like reducing your expenses, cutting back on eating out, or using coupons at certain places, or calling different companies to see if you can get a discount. So definitely starting right now. And then in addition to that is to surround yourself in a community that's doing what you're trying to do. So I feel like joining Instagram and joining the debt-free community, it really helped me because I was able to learn from so many individuals who are on the same path that I was on. I picked up different tips and tricks, and just to have that opportunity to collaborate and talk with other people who are going through the same thing you're going through is definitely beneficial.
Yeah, because you're gonna have a lot of people pulling you the other way.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and you definitely want to make sure that people take advantage of this no interest student loan situation that's going on if you can afford it, because that interest, as you know, that interest, oh my goodness, that joker will eat you up. And it's like, I paid this much, but hold on, it only went down this much. Take advantage of it. This is, in spite of it being a pandemic and it's, ruined a lot of lives in different ways, there are blessings that come out of it. And we are presented with opportunities every day to improve our life. We just have to grab hold of it and take advantage of it. And before you know it, you'll set yourself up for financial success before you even thought that you could achieve it.
I'm so glad you said that, Tiffany, because a lot of people just think like, oh, I don't need to pay my student loans right now. But I'm like, take advantage of the whole interest-free thing right now. You can get so further along if you just tackle your student loan debt, if you can financially right now.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. We do it, well, not we, but people do it with getting furniture. They do it with, getting cars. This is the same type of thing. Like, just start paying on it now, because then it ends up being better, it ends up benefiting you more.
Yeah,
and you get done quicker.
You're actually paying less on the loan because you don't have the interest. That's true.
Right.
And we had someone ask us a question. I'll say this. Even if you're like, I just don't feel it, like let's put something. Or I told someone, look, if you have a goal, like what you mentioned, wrote everything down, what your why is. If your why says, I wanted to be in a home in the next, by the end of 2021, right? And I wanted to have paid off my debt. I want to pay off my debt, but you don't have like a number to it. If that windfall of the no interest or no payments does that bring you closer to your financial goal, or does it bring you closer to your debt goal? Like whichever one that gets you closer to achieving first, I say go get that. Like for some people, the person who was talking to us was like, I really want to get a home or something like that. And I was like, well, let's look at it. You need 10,000 for a down payment.
Minimum.
This is right. This is
what you're looking for.
This is only a 5-month pause. And your payments are only, $100, for example, for simple math. You're gaining $500, as a windfall, but that doesn't really get you super close.
Right.
But if your student loan was $1,500, that $500 can kind of move the needle a whole lot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Tell us, Jeanetta, where we can find you on Instagram, social media, the website, Cash Curls, Transform, Renew, Empower. Tell us where our followers and your followers, well, I guess our followers, since you're telling them where to follow you, tell us where they can find you.
Yes, so I'm on Instagram at cash_curls. And then I also have a blog, and my website name is cashandcurls.com.
Awesome. This has been a treat for me, having this good conversation, and I'm hoping a lot of people got a lot out of it and can just sit back and listen to the nuggets, because you gave a couple of hacks. I can't name them all, but you gave a couple of hacks for people.
Play it back if you have to.
Lay it back multiple times.
Yes.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, all right. Well, thank you so much. You know what? I never did ask, where are you from right now? Where are you?
I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, where are you guys from?
We're out of Atlanta.
Atlanta,
okay,
Georgia.
Cool,
yes.
Cool.
Well, whenever you're in Atlanta, come. You got a spot here.
Plenty of natural spots.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. Does Cleveland have a lot of like Black I don't know how to say it without offending someone. You're already like thinking about to offend somebody.
I forgot where you're going.
I'm trying to say, in Atlanta, there's a lot of Black salons that deal with natural hair.
Natural hair salons, yes.
Natural hair salons. Okay. Are there natural hair salons in Ohio?
So it's very hard, honestly. I've been going to the same, I don't go to the hairdresser that often. So I only go to get my hair straightened. So I've been with the same hairstylist my whole entire life. So I don't really branch off and try to find other shops, because the lady I have, she knows my hair, and I trust her with my hair. But I'm pretty sure you can find a good handful of natural hair shops in the Cleveland area.
All right. I don't know. I'll just cut my own hair. Maybe if Tiffany visits, she'll do it. All right.
No, I don't really go to the salon either. That just to get a trim or like you said, get it flattened. But even then, when I press my hair, it's like, why did you even try? It's all thin, and then the humidity, and it just doesn't last. So it's just a waste of money.
There's hope, Tiff.
There's no hope.
Okay.
I just live with what I have, which is curls.
Which is curls.
Yes.
That's being content.
Yeah.
Yes, Jason, you got so excited.
I know. It was like
whole hands.
Well, it was
being content.
Well, it sounded like Sesame, the word of the day. The word of the day. Like I can use it. Okay, whatever. It was so much fun, Jeanetta.
Yes, talking to you.
You bring out the best.
Yes, it was fun. Thank you guys for having me. I really had a great time talking with you guys.
Awesome. We did too.
Yeah. So we're gonna close out with one of our sayings, and that is, It doesn't matter what you make, it's what you do with what you make. So if you change your mind, you change your wallet, you change your life. So go out there and make some changes. This is your host, Jason Alexander, and Wallet Talks. We're out.
You left me out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And co-host Tiffany Alexander, aka his wife.
Do you want me to say
going on 10 years? No, you can.
I think you should.
We'll just leave this in the show so people can. Okay. All right. Are we done?
Yeah.
All right. We're out.